everybody, and welcome back to the Fife Circle Line for Train Sim World 4. If this does happen to be the first video or stream you've seen by me, then my name's Richard, aka Dadrail, and I'm a mainline freight train driver and former passenger train driver based in the southeast of England. Before we jump into the video, I have got to tell you that all the views and opinions expressed within this video are solely my own and may not reflect those of any companies I may be employed by or associated with. And furthermore, Rivet Games and Dovetail Games have given me the key for this route completely free of charge. However, all opinions and views are my own. They have no editorial control over the content, and they're not paying me in any way, shape or form or telling me what to say. So, we done a part 1 review on the Fife Circle Line, where we drove Edinburgh to Macinch. Apologies for pronunciations. We drove Edinburgh to Macinch via the the east or south side of the loop. This is part 2. We are going to drive from Glenrothes back down to Edinburgh via the other side, so that'll be the west side or the north side of the loop. So, without further ado, let's press the buttons. That one right there should do it, hopefully. Well, hey, we are in. We're going to load up 2 Golf 06 Glenrothes with Thornton back down to Edinburgh Waverley. So as always, as we go along, I'll give you my thoughts and opinions on the route. If there's something I like, I'll tell you. Equally, if there's anything I don't like, I'll also be quite open and honest about that as we go along.
Welcome to the Scotrail service to Edinburgh Waverley. Calling at Cardendon, Lochgelly, Cowdenbeath, Dunfermline, Queen Margaret, Dunfermline City, Rosyth, Inverkeithing, North Queensferry, Dalmeny, Edinburgh Gateway, Haymarket.
So here we are at Glenrothes, which is our first station. You heard the automatic announcements on the train there. I'm probably going to be repeating quite a lot of what I said in the first stream, so if you haven't seen the first stream or haven't got my kind of reviews and opinions on the route, I am going to be probably repeating quite a lot of those as we go along. So apologies for that if you have seen part 1. The station here is looking really nice. I'm really pleased with the way the 170 looks in game. The 170 is a smart looking train, and I'm really pleased, and I've said this several times now, we've got the 170 in game. That could be reskinned into East Midlands Railways, into Southern Livery, into cross country maybe. So we're definitely going to get a lot of usage out of this train in game, so it's really, really good that we do have it in game. So we are going to be calling out, as you heard the automatic announcement there, Cardendon and Lochgelly, Cowdenbeath, Dunfermline City, Rosyth, Inverkeithing, North Queensferry, Dalmeny and Edinburgh Gateway, Haymarket and Edinburgh Waverley. It takes about an hour to complete the run. So we are just waiting for departure. Looking around the station here, does look really, really nice. Got a bit of a caravan park going on over the back there. Planters, PIS screens. Got the windmills off in the background. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Pretty good. Right, we shouldn't be doing 15 coming out of there. We're doing 25 because I was too busy listening to the engine noises. I do think that 170s are a little bit more lower pitched, and they've got a sort of a more of a droney engine noise to them than what we've got here. I could be wrong, but the engines don't sound as droney as I would expect them to. Right, we are clear, we are good for 60. We've got 4 miles to Cardendon, platform 1. Should have listened to the pronunciations on the auto announcements there. Let's get it going. So it's really, really quiet in the cab here, which is really stereotypical, prototypical of these units. I've spent a lot of time commuting on 170s, and I've been in the cab of them quite a few times as well when I was out doing route learning over the Marshalling service between Hastings and Ashford. So I can confirm these are very quiet. The cabs of these units are very quiet, so that is prototypical. It's a very nicely modelled train. It does look, credit where credit's due, they've done a really good job on the modelling of the train. It looks very nice indeed. So at the end of the part 1 video, I gave my kind of overviews and my thoughts to this. So I'm recording this about 12 hours later. The part 1 video has been out for a little while. I've been reading some of the comments, and I was saying that this route just didn't seem like it had the same level of polish as some of the recent recent releases. So we've had like the Suffragette line, the Goblin line, the Bernina line, Blackwall branches, which all feel really well polished and really good. And I kind of said that this route just didn't feel up to the same standards. Not to say it's a bad route, it just doesn't feel like it's up to the same standards as those routes. I was playing the East Coastway route earlier, which is a Train Sim World 2 route, and yeah, it kind of confirms what I was saying. This route feels very Train Sim World 2, Train Sim World 3. It doesn't feel like it's got the polish of a Train Sim World 4 route. And indeed, someone commented in one of my videos, said Train Sim World 3 and a Train Sim World 4 disguise. And I think that's definitely a really fair point to make. So hopefully we're going to get patches, hopefully they're going to look after it. Hopefully it's just going to get sort of some lighting upgrades, some texture upgrades. But the good news is that it's a very playable route. It's an enjoyable route. And sometimes, you know, sometimes if the gameplay's there, if it is enjoyable and you get something out of it, sometimes, you know, the fact that it doesn't look as shiny as you'd like it to, you can kind of not forgive it. That's the wrong thing to say. But sometimes, you know, the playability of something outweighs how it looks. So I think it's important that we kind of strike that balance. But yeah, it definitely doesn't feel as polished as some of the other routes that we've had out recently. So as we go along, we'll have a look at the stations. I won't be doing sort of an overview of the 170 because we've done that in the previous video. However, I am going to be, if you're watching this on day of release, there is a live stream tonight at 20:30. We're going to be having a look at some of the weather effects and the lighting effects on this route. And I'll be sort of taking your requests and sort of showing you things that you want to see on there. So if you're watching this on release day, do tune into that stream. And if you're watching this after release day, the release day of the video that is, then do go and check that stream out because it will still be up somewhere. Again, what I was saying on the previous thing, the gradients on this route do make it a really interesting drive. You've kind of got to be on your toes a little bit. You can see over in the field to the right hand side there, if we jump out quickly into external camera, see what I mean about the textures? They just look really sparse. You can kind of see that tiling on there. It just, yeah, some of the ground textures I think just don't look particularly great. Carl, welcome to Edinburgh, new subscriber. That's my bad for not turning off my overlays. That's only supposed to happen on a live stream, not a video. .6 miles to Cardendon. Are we going to get an auto announcement? Have the auto announcements broken? I think the auto announcements have I think we've broken the auto announcements already. And we are free for the free. Creeping in here way too slow. Yeah, I remember in the part 1 stream, I think there was 1, maybe 2 stations where the auto announcements didn't fire off. So it does look like they are still a little bit buggy. She's running up the stairs there. I think the kind of station area looks pretty decent though, to be fair. Like I say, credit where credit's due. So you've got the ground texture here, you've kind of got like the 3D grass going on. Whereas in the fields, you've got nothing, it looks really 2D and patchy. It's kind of like, yeah, look, you can sort of see there. It's nothing, there's no texturing on that at all. Right, we're off to Lochgelly. Hear the engine noise change at 16 miles an hour. The reason it does that is because up until 16 miles an hour the throttle is limited to notch 5, so even though I've put the throttle in notch 7, until you get to 16 miles an hour you're only going to get 5 notches. So when the train gets above 16 it then opens up the other 2 notches and you get the engine revving up. So I have got a correction from the previous stream. I did say that the horn, it's got the high and low tones only, but you can't use the soft high and the soft low to the left and the right. I have since been told that if you hold control and then press it, you do have the soft high and the soft low. So yeah, it's a little bit annoying that you haven't got the, you know, you can't sort of use the mouse to control that, but it is there and it does work. Same with the hill start functionality as well. You can't press the hill start button in, but it does work on the keyboard shortcut. I think from a physics point of view and a driving point of view, the route's really pleasant. I would most definitely like to see the suspension upgrade in this, but like we said, well, like I've spoken about previously, that's a Train Sim World core thing. That's not route specific, but I think once we do get the suspension upgrades in, that just adds so much to the immersion. If you look at the way the pacer bounces around on Blackpool branches, it just gives such a good feel to the route. As we come around towards Lochgelly, are we going to get an auto announcement? We are!
We'll soon arrive at Lochgelly.
Lochgelly. My pronunciation was almost okay.
With you before you leave the train.
I would not advise braking everywhere in brake step 3. It's not a good way to drive. Oh, we have a bugged out NPC. No, sorted themselves out. They were just running on the spot. And that lady there's crossing her arms in disapproving at the fact that we are running. I know we're running on time. I should not be disapproving. Okay, that's interesting. I've opened the doors on my train, and all of these NPCs have decided that were waiting over there have decided to start walking down the platform. Oh, oh, oh. Okay, that gets a sad trombone sound effect. That gets a... Actually, do you know what? I think I have my soundboard turned on today. That definitely gets one of those. Not good, not good. Okay, we have discovered a bug. Right, we are off to Cowdenbeath. Right, okay, this is where you definitely need to use your hill start button because I'm rolling back there. So, hill start button on. Throttle into 3. Release the hill start button. And there we go. We're heading in the right direction. Definitely need to make use of that hill start button. It's little things like that, like the passengers jumping off the edge of the platform to get on the train. It's little things like that that let routes down. Yeah, ever so slightly disappointed by that. Lots of sheep around. Yeah, the little 170 is struggling on the 1.2% gradient here. Got a 40 coming up. I think we'll get it to about 45 and then shut off power. That should roll back for the 40 then. And see if we get an automatic announcement on the approach to Cowdenbeath. See if we have any more passengers running across the track. Well, I said 45 and shut off. That didn't quite work. We're using a little bit of brake now just to trim it down. Again, textures on the embankment there next to the bridge just don't look particularly well finished. This is a very scenic bit of the route now as we come along next to the lock. Like I say, it's really easy to kind of pick up on all the negatives on the route, but it's also important to highlight the things that they've done well. The water textures, for example. Definitely a fan of the water textures. But then that distant scenery beyond the lock, it just looks a little bit bland. It's definitely struggling on some of these gradients.
We'll soon arrive at Cowdenbeath. Don't forget to take your belongings with you before you leave the train.
And what goes up must come down, so now on a 1.1% downward gradient. Really important to just watch your braking because it can really sort of push you and you can overshoot the platforms quite easily, which I'm famously good at doing. Now, are the passengers going to wait patiently or are they going to jump across the platform? No, they're behaving themselves. NPCs are now behaving themselves. That's good news. Again, the station area looks really nicely modelled. I like the detailing on the footbridge there. The buildings on the shops and the textures look a little bit, leave a little bit to be desired. The actual close-up scenery, I think, is pretty good. Just don't look too far off into the distance, I guess, is the kind of main takeaway from it. Right, we're off to Dunfermline, Queen Margaret. Like I said, we are going to be checking out the lighting effects on this route and the weather. WSP wheel slip protection is modelled really nicely on the 170. They've made a really good job of that with the sound effects on the outside of the WSP. WSP is basically ABS for trains. So we're going to be testing that on the live stream a bit later. So if you are watching this video a couple of days after release or sometime off in the future, do go and have a little look at that. I don't know if I'm a massive fan of the track textures as well. The track textures just look a little bit flat. There's some weird sort of lighting going on the track textures there. But there's no kind of variation in them. There's no kind of wet beds or replaced rails where they've got new sleepers. It just looks very, very samey, and it's quite a dark track texture. So the colour of ballast, track ballast, does vary depending on where you are in the country, depending on what quarry it's come from. So there are variations in the colour of track ballast, but it just, yeah, I'm definitely not a fan of the track textures in this. Again, it's kind of got that Train Sim World 2 feel about it. We've got pylons with no wires. Is that a lighting issue, or is that a... Nope, the pylons do not have wires. And then the dodgy field textures again. So down on this side of the train, on the right hand side of the screen, we've got these lovely kind of brushes, pushes and textures, and on the other side we've got nothing. So yeah, it does feel a little bit kind of half-baked in places. And I think I would stand by my comments from the previous part 1 of this video. I wish it had just been held back a little bit longer just to put that final layer of polish on it. It's not a bad route, not a bad route by any stretch of the imagination. I think it's Train Sim World 2, Train Sim World 3 standards. It's not Train Sim World 4 standards. It's just like the trees, the colour on the trees, and they all look really, really samey. We're just going to be mindful here because we're on a downward 1% downward gradient, 0.8 miles to Dunfermline, Queen Margaret. And it looks like quite a short platform looking at the heads-up display there as well, so it doesn't give us much room for error. Are we going to get an auto announcement? We will soon find out. Auto announcements are good, by the way. I sound like I'm coming across quite negative about the auto announcements.
We'll soon arrive at Dunfermline, Queen Margaret. Don't forget to take your belongings with you before you leave the train.
Yeah, I'm definitely not negative about the auto announcements. I don't think they're quite there yet, but I think with the fact that we've got them in game, it's definitely moving in the right direction. Station here looks really nice. Again, the close-up textures, the way the stations are done, seem to be pretty decent. It's kind of when you look off in the distance, it's the bits in between that are kind of lacking a little bit. There's our two S6 and 4. We've got we jump into our free roam camera and go and have a little nosy around. Good variation in the vehicles. Looks like a BMW there. Kia maybe, Audi, Ford Fiesta, Volvo, XC90. We've got a really good selection of vehicles there. Normally we get the kind of same old square boxes. Yeah, again, station textures and the actual station building. We need to go and place all of the maps in. That's one of the game mechanics, see? That's why it's not there. Looking really nice. Some weird echoey sound effect going on there. We're off to Dunfermline City, platform number 1, just around the corner, 1.5 mile, 1.3 miles even. As we get a train coming the other way, are we going to get a nice passing train sound effect? Not really. If you've ever been on a train when it passes another train, you'll know that the sound of another train going past is somewhat more intense than that. It almost sounds like nothing happened. You know, the sound of another train going past you would be very noticeable. Even in the well-insulated cabs on the 170, it's still going to be noticeable. And again, just being careful here not to let the gradient run us away. See, this section looks really nicely modelled. We've got really nice detail both sides of the tracks. Nice textures. The trees, again, just look really, really samey. And we're waiting for that auto announcement as we approach Dunfermline City. There it goes.
We'll soon arrive at Dunfermline City. Don't forget to take your belongings with you before you leave the train.
And I was warning everyone about the steep gradient and I've gone and done it myself. Making effective use of the emergency brake there. We're driving the train to its full performance. We were running late though, so I don't think that's going to wash as an excuse personally. Lots and lots and lots of, I don't know if you can see it on the stream, lots of artifacting going on this route in places. You can see the fence really, really glitching out there. Ah, the cooling fans work. That's nice. I've not noticed that before. Yeah, but when we look at the last station, we then come here and look around here, and just doesn't look as good as the last station. The textures just look a bit, it looks a bit blocky. I mean, it is brick, I know, but there just seems to be some areas of this route that are just lacking a little bit of quality. I mean, some parts of it, like I say, look absolutely fantastic. Then you get other bits of it where it's just like, you know, what is going on? Right, we're off to Rosyth. If we can get the thing going. Right, we are off, we are off. I know with the amount of station overruns that we've had and speeding, you find it hard to believe, but they do let me drive trains in real life. So one of the things that I have noticed, and I don't think I've mentioned yet, is the lack of exhaust clag from the 170s. Now I know we're promoting being environmentally friendly and everything, but there's absolutely zero exhaust emissions from the train. The other thing that's been mentioned as well in a couple of the comments and on the forums I've seen is the cooling fans on the 170. So the cooling fans are quite loud, and I've not heard them engage even once in game yet, so I don't think the cooling fans have been modelled. You'd expect them to come on sort of randomly here and there as the train's getting a bit hot, and they are very audible. Even from the cab they're pretty audible, they are loud.
We'll soon arrive at Rosyth.
Rosyth.
Don't forget to take your belongings with you before you leave the train.
Rosyth. That's good that we've got the auto announcements because I can check my pronunciations. Glitching out NPCs on the platform. They're glitching out, but they're not trying to cross the platform to get on the train, so...
Please remain behind the yellow line at all times. Trains pass through this station at high speed and can cause turbulence.
I've not heard that announcement before. I don't know if that come across in the video, but there's a please stand behind the yellow line announcement. The station here at Rosyth is looking really nice. Loving the kind of weeds on the bank there. Quite a lot of artifacting going on again. I don't know what the cause of that is. Got some artifacting going on over here, some artifacting going on over here. Yeah, I don't know kind of what the cause of that is, but it's down by the train there on the left hand side. Whether that's a me problem or whether that's a game problem.
Security personnel tour this station 24 hours.
Off to Inverkeithing. So if we pull up the map to have a look at where we're at. So we're coming through Inverkeithing, and then we're pretty much across the Forth Bridge and then down towards Edinburgh. The Forth Bridge, as you'll see in a minute, does look incredible. Credit where credit's due, they've done a really good job of modelling that. And we've got that 30 come out. The other thing we need to test on this when we're coming into Edinburgh Waverley is TPWS modelled and does it work? So bringing it down to 30 as we come around the corner here in towards Inverkeithing. And I believe the line going off to our left is the spur round to the other side of the Fife circle, so the east side. So if you're going round and round in circles, you could spur off to the left there, and then drive around all day long until your heart's content. I think we need to make like a route learning scenario where you take charge of a route learning engine and go in circles around the Fife circle.
We'll soon arrive at Inverkeithing.
Inverkeithing, not
Don't
Keithing,
forget to
Keithing.
take your belongings with you before you leave the train.
Clickety click across the points. Yeah. Going to have a little look around Inverkeithing. Again, the immediate station area looks modelled really nice, liking the bus stop. Some weird collision things going on, it's preventing us from moving where we want to go. Traffic cones are really good. Just clutter and junk lying around like that just gives the route a little bit more immersion, it just kind of really adds to it in my opinion. Nice interior model, that does look good. I thought I had turned the dynamic weather off, but obviously not, it's getting a little bit foggy. The lighting as you go into the tunnels is a little bit funky, it doesn't seem to transition very smoothly. You see this kind of like flickering lights in the cab, it's a little bit strange. Looks like the lighting, oh crikey, what was that? It looks like the lighting could do with a little bit of an overhaul. North Queensferry, and then we are crossing the Forth Bridge.
We'll soon arrive at North Queensferry. Don't forget to take your belongings with you before you leave the train.
I think the station is pretty much upon us as soon as we come out of the tunnel here. Really difficult. It is in real life really difficult to judge your distances when you're in a tunnel. That is extremely foggy or dodgy lighting effects on the left hand side there. Unfortunately, we're not going to get to see the Forth Bridge in all its glory because the fog has started to come in, which I guess, you know, in real life I can imagine this area is prone to fog because of how close it is to the river. But if you do want to have a look at the Forth Bridge proper, if you go and watch part 1 of the video, it was definitely nice and clear as we went across it. And we are going to be having a look at it in various weather conditions and the night lighting on it as well in the stream later on. Oh, something's beeping at us. We've got cars beeping down there. Right, we are off. 50 miles an hour maximum speed restriction across the bridge. We have bi-directional working in operation, which means we can go across either the up or the down line. I'm not using my hill start button, so I'm rolling back. Must get used to doing that. Yeah, the bridge in this whole kind of area has been really well modelled. There's definitely been a lot of thought put into this. Really nice to have it in game as well. It's definitely an iconic landmark on the Scottish rail networks. It's really good that we do have this in game. Yeah, unfortunately it won't let me zoom out particularly far to get a sort of quality flyby shot. Definitely a fan of it though, definitely a fan. Dunfermline is our next station.
We'll soon arrive at Dunfermline. Don't forget to take your belongings with you before you leave the train.
Very well used bridge as well. It just seems to go on forever. I've never seen it in the flesh. I do definitely need to spend a bit more time in Scotland and go for a ride across the Forth Bridge. Hopefully the weather's going to start clearing up a little bit as we get down towards Haymarket in Edinburgh. We'll see what happens. Yeah, so it's definitely a little bit memory intensive as we come across there. I'm not lagging too bad on my machine. I'm still keeping around 45 FPS at the moment. But I can imagine if you're sort of playing on a lower end machine or an older machine, then I can see you sort of getting some stuttering in this area. There's quite a lot of textures, quite a lot of objects to load in for the bridge there. And all stop, all stop. Again, the station looks really nice here at Dunfermline. NPCs all behaving themselves and not jumping across the track, which is always really, really good to see. Oh, we are... Did that person just fall off the bridge? I take it back, maybe the NPCs are not quite behaving themselves. I'm sure I saw someone jump off the bridge just a minute ago. No, the NPCs are definitely a little bit buggy. Yeah, no exhaust clag. And we've got Edinburgh Gateway to go, then Haymarket, and finally Edinburgh Waverley, where this train will terminate. Yeah, a little bit of lagging going on, but it is starting to pick the frames up again now. I am playing on PC, so I'll be interested to see what the performance is like for console players. I think sort of current gen PS5, Xbox One console players, the performance is normally pretty good. So we are good for 100. Let's see if we can get anywhere near that. We're on a downhill gradient, so we might be lucky. Let's see what we can do. At 1.8 miles. Can we make the 100? Oh, the sound is doing weird things. We've just got a really high-pitched whining noise. What is that all about? Yeah, the sounds above 80 miles an hour there certainly seem a little bit questionable.
We'll soon arrive at
Edinburgh Gateway.
Don't forget to take your belongings with you before you leave the train.
I was just querying, just sort of looking as to whether the new suspension physics have been implemented on that. Now, I remember when Rivet Games done their stream, they said they hadn't, but looking at the way the train's bouncing around, I'm not so sure. So I think I need to go away and ask the question about that, and I'll pin a response down in the comment section when I've got an answer. But oh, just like that, the fog disappears. That is that gets one of those, because that wasn't particularly convincing at all. Yeah, I'm going to have a little close-up look at the bogies when we depart here and kind of have a look. But it does look like this has got the suspension physics update. Again, I spoke about Edinburgh Gateway in the previous stream. Pretty lacklustre, if I'm being honest. Tram lines with no tram wires. What we really want to know is if we can spawn a train on here, like an 08 shunter or something, and take it for a spin. We are going to have a go at that at some point. That is definitely got to be tried. Next station stop, Haymarket. Let's just have a little look at the bogies. And we're kind of looking at this relationship here between the bogie and the body. I mean, yeah, you can see the bogies moving independently to the body. So that does look like the way that's moving, this possibly has got suspension upgrades on it. I mean, of course it is entirely possible that is just me, and it's always moved like that, but the train is sort of bouncing around a little bit. So yeah, I will ask the question, and I will pin an answer. Yeah, sounds bugging out a little bit there as the other train goes past. And 75 round the corner, we're going to come alongside the Edinburgh-Glasgow route, so we should see some 385s now, hopefully. You see the tram line off to the right hand side. That's not the tram line, sorry, that is the far right is the tram line, and the line coming in immediately to our right is the Edinburgh Glasgow via Linlithgow. Pronunciations, my bad. And we're now on the far section down to Haymarket. Not a fan of the way Haymarket Depot's got no traffic. So I mentioned that in part 1 as well. You'll see as we go past, it's just, it's lifeless. There's nothing going on there. We do definitely need to see if we can go into free roam and spawn something on the tram track. I'm gonna try it. If it works, there'll be a video on the channel, because I'll make a little video of it. Personally, I don't think it will, but was that an unlit signal on the left-hand side there? Yeah, the depot's just completely empty and lifeless. It would be nice just to have some stock in there of some description.
We'll soon arrive at Haymarket. Don't forget to take your belongings with you before you leave the train.
And we are red ahead here at Haymarket. Approaching a red signal, no more than 20 over the AWS magnet, depending on your company's driving policy. We will go and have a little look around the station, because we have got a couple of minutes here at Haymarket. Okay, so brake step 3, we're going to set our DRA and go into neutral. Doors on the left hand side. Okay, so the elevators or escalators work in some of the stations, but not exclusively in all of them by the looks of it. Same with the lifts. Some of the stations have got working lifts, some of them haven't. I don't know why you would be inconsistent in that. If you're going to put the feature in, surely you've got to sort of put it everywhere. You can't just put it in some places and not others. The 385 service just pulled in there as well, which is good. Yeah, I would have thought they would have put the working elevators and working escalators everywhere instead of just kind of in random stations. I like that. I like that. Yep, I like that. I'm a fan of that. We need Dr. K now playing Boogie Woogie. Search Dr. K on YouTube if you've got no idea what I'm going on about. He plays a lot of the station pianos and stuff. He's really, really good, really talented. I can barely see the red light on the DRA there. A bit washed out by the sun. Okay, so we're waiting for the signal to clear. Is it going to want me to close the doors before it clears the signal? Lock doors. Yeah, I find this really irritating, because in reality you would never close your doors against a red signal, but the signal's not going to step up until we do. Right, 2 yellows. And we're going to test the TPWS grids on the approach to Edinburgh as well, see how we get on with those. See if they are working and modelled as we would expect. I am pulling away incorrectly in this. I keep going straight into notch 7, which is really lazy driving. I am told the correct way to do it is 257. So So it should be notch 2 up till about 5 miles an hour, notch 5 until the changeover at 16, and then notch 7. That is the correct way to drive it. So 257. I keep going straight into 7, which is pretty bad. So I've stepped up to a green. So Equit, repeating my thoughts on the route as we're coming down towards Edinburgh and the end. I think it's a good route and I think it's a good train. There are a few bugs in places, like that there, for example. That is a bug. There are a few bugs in places. Overall, it's playable. Overall, it's enjoyable. The fact you've got both sides of the circle, I think, gives it a little bit more interesting, because it's almost like you're getting 2 routes for the price of 1, which I'm definitely a fan of. I think for me though, it lacks that final layer of polish, and I think the way it was put earlier is the best way of putting it. It feels like a Train Sim World 2 route. It just doesn't feel up to Train Sim World 4 standards, especially when you look at like the Suffragette line, you look at Glossop, you look at Blackpool branches. Those routes in comparison are absolutely next level. You look at this and it feels Train Sim World 2-y. It just doesn't feel up to the same sort of standards. So the developers, Rivet Games, have said they're going to be adding some tourist and freight services into it, which is going to add around about another 30 services. And there is also another branch line which is not open in real life, and as soon as that opens in real life, which is later on 2024, they are going to put that in game as a free update as well. There is a 158 hopefully on the way as well for this, so that will give it that little bit of extra immersion. I'm liking this parallel running into Waverley. This is a nice little touch. So overall, good route, but it just doesn't feel like it's up to current route standards. Platform 17 in the theatre box there. And we're going to remember to come in, so just double checking this. My temporary isolation fault light is not illuminated. My TPWS is enabled. Safety system is definitely turned on there. We're going to go over the loops. These should be set for 10, so this should trip me out. Is there even TPWS loops there? I don't even think we've got loops there. Whacking the brakes in so we don't hit the buffer stops. So no, TPWS doesn't work. So I'm afraid it gets a resounding one of those. Right, we're at the end of the line. Brake step 3, DRA set, into neutral, and doors unlocking on the left hand side, and we'll put our reds up just about there. Nice looking train though. They've done a really good job on the train. I'm really pleased with the train. Is my headlight still turned on? Yes it is, there we go. That's better, that's better. Yeah, so before the game goes, let's press some buttons here somewhere. Let's press that one there. Let's press that one there, and hopefully you can see me on the screen again. Yeah, so that's my thoughts on the route. I'll be really interested to hear your thoughts. If you have enjoyed this video, do consider hitting that like button and subscribing. That would be really helpful. Do I think you should go out and buy this route? That's not for me to say. That is absolutely for you to say. It's very subjective. If you like this sort of route, if you like the look of it, if you like the train, if you think it's worth the money, then yeah, absolutely go and buy it. There are a couple of little bugs in it. Is it unplayable? No, it's not unplayable. There's nothing in here that annoys me to the extent that makes the game unplayable. Does it lack that final layer of polish? Does it look like a Train Sim World 4 route? No, it doesn't. It looks like a Train Sim World 2 or a Train Sim World 3 route. It definitely needs a little bit more work on it. If it had been me, I would be really tempted to sort of say, right, we're going to hold this back for a month. We're going to delay it. We're going to work on it. We're going to get the extra services put in. We're going to get some of the textures sorted out. We're going to get some of the lighting issues and the bugs sorted out. That would be me personally. Is it in a state where it's ready to be released? Possibly, yeah. It doesn't. The whole route doesn't feel like a work in progress. It does feel like a finished product. But maybe that's kind of, maybe that's because we've come to expect these things in game, and maybe we shouldn't have done. Maybe we're kind of expecting the bugs. Maybe we're kind of expecting things not to look quite right, and maybe we've just come to accept that, that's a pretty sad place to be, if I'm being completely honest. But maybe that's just the way it is, you know. But there we go, guys. It is up to you. Always interested to hear your opinions down in the comments section below. If you want to talk more about this route, or you want to talk about trains in general, real life trains, then you're more than welcome to join our very friendly and inclusive Discord server. You'll find a link for that down in the description below, and you can also follow me on my social media channels, rarely updated social media channels, which are on the screen for you right now. Thank you very, very much for watching, and I hope to see you in a video or a stream very soon. Bye for now.